Stay tuned for some interesting tongue facts that you didn't know about snakes. Guys, we are back for another talking head video. We're going to be talking about snake's tongue. Maybe they sting, maybe they don't. Watch the video and you will find out shortly. So let's set the record straight. Snake's tongues do not sting, no matter what anybody says. They don't sting, they don't hurt. They're solely for telling the snake about the world around them. You and I have eyes, ears, nose, all that stuff. Our eyes give us the picture of the world that we see, and it helps us make our decisions on what to do, what we see, danger, no danger, food, stuff like that. Snakes don't really have that luxury. Yes, they have a nose, they can smell, they do have eyes, but their eyes don't work like ours. They see shapes, basically, right? To compensate for it, snakes have evolved tongues and an organ called the Jacobson's organ. The Jacobson's organ is located on the roof of their mouth. It sends receptors to the brain and it tells them about the world around them by tasting the air. The snake's gonna flick its tongue out, it's gonna pull its tongue back in, and the tips on the fork are gonna touch the Jacobson's organ. So when the snake flicks his tongue out, brings it back in, the forks hit the Jacobson's organ, which then sends the signal to the brain on what it picked up. So basically, when that snake flicks his tongue out, hits the air, it disturbs the air, it traps pheromone molecules on the tongue, and so when he brings it back in, it hits the Jacobson's organ sends it to the brain, and it basically is telling the snake multitude of different things. And it all depends on if the snake is in feeding mode, if it's just cruising around the world exploring, stuff like that. It basically will tell the snake a picture of the world around it. So a snake's tongue is forked, obviously. So a snake's tongue is forked. It's forked for a reason, which we'll get into later in the video. But for now, it's forked. When a snake flicks his tongue out, it can kind of move independently to pick up different areas of the surrounding, whether it be the ground, whether it be the air, something that they're crawling on, trap those molecules so that the snake can process. So back to it being forked. It's forked for a reason. You have the right side and left side. Basically what ends up happening is when that snake flicks his tongue out, traps the molecules on the tongue, and he brings it back in, and the Jacobson's organ processes what it found. If it's in feeding mode, right? Let's say the snake's hungry, it's in hunting mode. He's cruising around looking for a meal. When he flicks his tongue out, depending on what side of the tongue, whether it be the left side tip or the right side tip, whatever has the strongest scent that it's looking for, it's gonna move in that direction. So if it flicks its tongue out, pulls it back in, realizes there's a stronger scent on the right tip, that Jacobson's organ is gonna tell the brain, hey, right side, we're gonna go this way. It'll basically tailor its path so that it knows which way to go, which way the food is, and it does that repeatedly over and over and over, and it gets a fine picture of which direction we wanna go, which direction we don't wanna go. And it all stems on the two tips of the tongue, the left side, right side, and it will fine tune it as it goes. It will also touch the ground. So if it's, if it's following a mouse, that mouse is gonna leave a scent everywhere it goes. So as it touches the ground, the tip's gonna pick up and be like, hey, I think it went this way, we're gonna go this way. That is the reason for the forked tongue. And I'll bet a lot of people didn't know that, so it's a pretty cool fact. It's pretty neat how they move around. Rattlesnakes are particularly good for this. They will stick their tongue out and they'll do a very slow up and down wave motion. And that's, they're trying to get as big of a picture as possible when they're threatened. And so they try to get that air sample as much as possible, and so they will sweep that really far back and forth. And then when they pull it in, they'll have more information based off of how much air they've moved with their tongue. And as their tongue moves through the air, it creates little vortices, and it hits the different spots of the tongue, and Jacobson's organ will send that to the brain, and it'll help them process what they're smelling. You might see like a quick, when they're cruising around the ground or cruising on a log or a stick, you might see them, just the forks will come out and they'll tap the ground and then they'll come back in, or they'll tap the air. If they're trying to get a picture of something far away or they want to get more information, they'll usually flick it upwards and they will move it back and forth. They will be able to tell which way a certain scent is or which way they need to go. And it's, with all that moving together, it's a really cool process, because they can, you know, they can flick their tongue out straight ahead, or they can flick it out on an angle and hit this way or this way. And all of that motion is basically giving that snake as much knowledge and as much vision of the world as they can possibly get by the different ways that they can move their tongue and then pick up the different scents. Real quick video. I thought it was neat because talking to people that don't like reptiles and don't like snakes especially, they don't know a lot on how they navigate the world. And and you hear all these crazy things that, oh, snakes' tongues, they sting you and this and that. It's all false. Don't listen to any of that. The only reason that they flick their tongue out is so they can figure out the world around them and what is going on. That is it about snakes' tongues. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the little bit of knowledge that I've gotten to throw your way on how snakes view the world. And I think it's pretty cool, and a lot of people that don't like the snakes, now you kind of have an idea of what snakes are doing when they're flicking their tongue out, the reasons behind it, and I hope it's kind of interesting to you guys. If you're a new snake owner, welcome. I'm going to try to do some videos like this to shed some light on some things that new snake keepers may not know. So I have some other videos coming, possibly going to be maybe a little care guide on how to keep California king snakes, which is what Jack is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you'd like, hit the subscribe button and turn notifications on. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments down below on maybe some ideas that you've come across or things that you've heard. Maybe we could talk about them in future videos. So yeah, don't forget, comment down below. In the meantime, you guys have a great afternoon. I will see you all in the next one.